We're gonna punch it and see. Just like that, we are now at our destination. As you can see here, I got the car behind me. We're gonna go over all the pros, all the cons from my opinion, because you guys got to remember, I am a Mopar fanatic, so this is gonna be like night and day for me. So I'm gonna give you my honest opinion. If I like it, I'm gonna let you know. If I love it, I'm gonna let you know. But if I don't like it, I'm gonna also let you know. So let's get started. Let's do a quick walk around before we get in and drive, shall we? All right, so to get things started, this has gotten to be one of the meanest looking cars I have ever seen come off the showroom floor. Let's make our way up here to the front. You're gonna notice this wide open grille right here, massive front opening. So that thing is actually equipped with 5 heat exchangers to keep this car cool whenever you're doing tracking type events. Loving the LED running strip right there. Big functional vents here. This right here is for the braking system, because these cars are made for the track. Got to keep those brakes cooled. On this specific layout, he does have the added canards here for extra downforce, which we're going to talk a little bit more about downforce once we make it to the back of the car. Now, if you look closely, there are actually cameras all over the front of this car, along with bugs, because we are in Florida and it is love bug season. But there are cameras all over the front of that car. You can actually do performance data recording in this car. So you put in your little SD card chip, and it actually performs how you do on the track. You can download it. Pretty neat feature that it has there. Coming up front, you're gonna have 20-inch forged wheels wrapped in Pilot Sports, the 4S's. Those are some really grippy tires. As you can see there, they're wide. They're sitting on 20s. They are wide, but that does not compare to the back, which is coming on 345s, guys, on a 13-inch wide tire. If you were to see this wheel taken off and sitting next to another wheel somewhere, you would get a better perspective of just how wide a 345 is. Now, this car does have an option for carbon fiber wheels, which this owner opted not to go with. It is a $10,000 markup. It's gonna save you 40-ish pounds of unsprung weight. So guys, that's huge savings on the performance aspect. I'm loving the fact that Chevy actually kept their little flag logo there. That dates all the way back to like 1953. I'm not sure what this paint color is called, but if this camera is picking it up, there's quite a bit of flake in there. Looks really good in the direct sunlight. He has an option out with the black convertible, which we will be letting it down here in just a second. Now, one thing that I do want to show, this car is a lot wider than your Stingray C8. In fact, it's 3.6 inches wider, and it's not just the rear. I mean, this whole front panel right here is actually a bit wider. You come back here, the best way to distinguish whether or not this car is a Z06 from a basic C8 like Stingray is, of course, you're gonna have the badge here. But this huge opening right here, not only is it bigger on the Z06, but it's also shaped differently. As you can see, it's kind of like a wishbone or a Y shape. Your regular C8 just has it in like a C shape. So that's one way to distinguish. But besides that, you really can't tell too much unless you get these cars next to each other. Speaking of this air dam, if you look in there, that is actually the intake, the air intake right there. So they needed that extra room in there to keep that motor clean. With this being the Z06, it is pushing a little more power. That is the flat plane crank engine, which I'll talk about here in just a second. Making our way around to the back, as you can see, the back is where you can really notice that the car is a lot wider. I believe they even moved the tail lights out a little bit. Nice LED tail light setup right there. Another neat feature is that on the Z06 version, you're going to get your quad tips right there dead center. On your normal C8, your Stingray C8, you're going to have the dual tips over here and your dual tips over here. Now, one thing that I do want to add is that this car does actually spit blue flames at full throttle. That's right. If you're going down the highway, especially at night, and you're full throttle and you let off the throttle, or if you downshift the right way, it's going to actually spit flames out the exhaust, and that's just insane. Massive spoiler here. This thing actually adds, I want to say, Chevy claims it's about 700 pounds of downforce. So 700 pounds of downforce. That is another added feature that at high speeds, yeah, will it slow you down? Yeah, but I mean, you got plenty of speed with this car. Will the convertible slow you down a tad bit because it's heavier? Yeah, but when you have that much power and the car is that quick, does that really matter? And speaking of power and quickness, let's talk about the engine, shall we? So on most C8s, when you come to the back, you'll be able to see the engine sitting right here through the glass. On this option, with it being a convertible, you do not get that option. But I mean, it's understandable. You got moving parts up here. You don't want that much glass really moving around, which I'll show you here whenever I let the roof down. So if you're wondering about the specifics of this car, guys, this is a 5.5 liter naturally aspirated flat plane crank motor, pushing through a DCT transmission, a dual clutch. I actually have a video of this car racing my Hellcat not too long ago. I'll drop that link right up here. Make sure that you guys check out that video here shortly. Epic, epic, epic racing. I'm not gonna tell you who won. You're gonna have to go check out the video. But this car is able to do 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds. I think it's like 2.9 seconds, bone stock. That's just insane, guys. That's just insane. It revs out to 8,600 RPMs, which you'll get to hear in just a second because we're gonna take this thing around the block. It is absolutely beautiful. It's music to your ears. That's enough about the outside. Let's open up the interior and see what Chevy has going on the inside of this thing. All right, so first thing you're gonna notice is it's very, very tricky initially to find the door handle, but once you do manage to find it, the first thing you're gonna notice is Chevy did an epic job with this interior. I'm loving this red on red combo. This car is equipped with the Bose sound system, as you can see there. Of course they'd ride through right while I'm doing my review. All right, so back to where we were. So this person had the option for all the carbon fiber in here, the Bose sound system, beautiful, beautiful red stitching throughout. I'm loving the fact that you got a lot of storage room here in the door. You can fit your protection in there, and I'm not talking condoms. Now, protection will be needed if you own one of these cars. There are a lot of haters out there, and they're just gonna be mad at you simply because you can afford one of these cars. Now, one thing that Chevy did do very well is they let you know that you got the Z06, which is right there at the entrance, and once again at the bottom of the steering wheel, which is wrapped in that beautiful carbon fiber. So let's make our way on into this car. Wish me luck. This car is extremely low. So let's see. All right, and just like that, I somehow made it in. Now that's another thing to consider. If you're a bigger person, then height wise, not too bad. I'm about 5'11", got a few inches here. I feel like I could still wear a helmet, take it down to the track, and I'll be just fine. And this is the convertible, so if you were in the regular coupe version, then you'd have even more head clearance. Speaking of the roof, let's go ahead and get it down. But first, I want you guys to check out this cluster when the car cranks up and listen to this sound. That does not get old. That does not get old. But check this out. We're gonna turn down the AC. Make sure no music is going. Don't want to get demonetized. But beautiful, beautiful layout here. Like I mentioned earlier, carbon fiber wheel. It has like the whole rectangular type shape. Loving it. It just gives you this whole cockpit type feeling. Now this is one of the things that I was iffy about at first. I didn't think I would like it. But stepping back and looking at it, I'm gonna let you see here. So this entire area just gives you like this whole cockpit vibe. It's kind of like as if the passenger is just kind of like off in their own world over there, which I kind of like, because to be honest with you, when I drive my sports cars, is 90% of the time it's just me anyway. So this makes me feel like the car is really featured and focused on me. It's driver oriented. You got all your buttons here. I'm not going to go through all this. You got all your different drive modes. One thing I do want to say is that the performance pages will be saved on here. You can see what you ran at the track. I'm loving this here though. Check this out. With the turn of a button, let's see, you gotta hit OK. So check this out. There's sport mode. It's like animated kind of. You're gonna go next, track mode. I'm just loving this. I'm loving everything about that. And so with that being said, let's go ahead, let's get the convertible down. I'm gonna hit the button right over here. And as you'll see here, just epic. Epic, epic, epic. And we are in Florida, so this is just fitting. Sunshine State, baby. So one difference is I want to hop back out one more time. There are no door handles in this car, guys. I almost got lost in here. Just a little button you got to push in order to get out. Now there is a drastic difference when the top is off or down when you're speaking about the coupe or the convertible. With the coupe, there are extra steps to get it down. You're gonna have like little latches and things. You don't have the fancy button to let it back, so you'll have to take it off, put it in the trunk. But if you have the convertible, then you just get to press the button like we did. Whole thing goes back and it stores by itself. Now, which one you prefer, I don't know. Let me know down in the comments which one you prefer. This one is a little bit heavier, keep that in mind. But I'm gonna give you a look. I'm gonna give you a view from the back. Pause. And as you can see there, I'm kind of loving like the little layout that it has here, the little wave feature. You do not get that with the coupe. You'll still be able to see the engine like I mentioned before, but you won't have that nice looking layout. But one more view at this car before we take off, man. Just look at this with the top off. But that's enough talking. I know you guys are eager to see what this thing sounds like on the road, so let's hop back in and let's get to it. All right, so here we are and off we go. So I gotta say, right now we're in your usual touring mode. Let me put my seatbelt on before I get a ticket. And this dinging drives you guys crazy. So right now we're in touring mode, and I gotta say, I mean, there's no drone. The car is quiet except for these old back roads that you're hearing, but this magnetic ride suspension, it feels good, nice and smooth. Loving this steering wheel layout. As for comfort wise, it's not bad. Now don't get me wrong, I probably wouldn't want to have this as a daily. Can you daily this car? Yeah, sure, of course. The seats are very comfortable, but to me it's just to the point that it's a supercar, guys, and you just don't daily supercars. If you can afford a car like this, then odds are you can afford a second car or a daily car, and then you say this for like your weekend warrior or your track runs or whatnot. Here's the exhaust sound when it's in touring mode. I'm not gonna absolutely punch it, but not bad, not bad. There's no crackling, no popping from the exhaust, nothing. It just sounds like your daily. It actually sounds like a V6, to be honest with you. A couple downshifts using the paddle shifters, nice and clean. But that's enough of that. That is definitely enough of that touring mode. So we're gonna switch over now. As you can see here, there's sport. We're going straight over the track. Like I mentioned earlier, the entire display changes. You can already hear the exhaust, guys. That sounds so freaking good. I wish you guys could see my facial reaction right now. So here we go. Just gonna put it in a normal drive mode. Oh my God, listen to that flat plane crank engine. It's just sick. And to me, if I had to compare this sound to any American made car, of course it's going to be your GT350. Now, does the GT350 sound as good as this? The fact that it's a manual definitely helps it, but I mean, come on, guys. And that's without me downshifting. That's just the car doing its own thing. So like I was saying, the GT350 is we just passed some bikers. Looks like they're trying to turn around. I hope they don't come bugging me. The GT350, it is in a manual, so you can kind of control the sound a little bit better than what you can in this. But here we go. Let me give you guys a quick pull. And that's about 30 to 40% throttle, guys. So the car just continuously revs. Like I mentioned earlier, it revs out to 8,600 RPMs. But this car, you can control it somewhat with the paddle shifters, as you can see here, nice and crisp. Let's do a downshift. Very nice. Very nice. A quick pull from second gear. Oh, so I gotta compare this to my Hellcat. So the pulls in this car, now speed, when you're doing pulls, is very, very close to my Hellcat. Like I mentioned, we've already raced these two vehicles. So the top end isn't too far off from each other, but the way that this car pulls I just keep catching myself to where I gotta shut up and just listen to the car. The way that this car pulls is completely different. It does not have that initial, by the way guys, that is not me downshifting, that is the car just doing what it does. But this car does not have that punch that the Hellcat gives you, and that's gotta be, here, let me take this out, because I'm not sure how well you guys can hear me when it's in that track mode. So this car doesn't have the punch like the Hellcat has, like I was saying. The Hellcat with the supercharger and all that freaking torque, when you smash it, you're getting sideways. It's fun, it's brutal. Smoke clouds can be created. What is this in the road? That is one thing. I don't know if the GoPro's picking this up. One thing about being out here in the country, guys, roadkill everywhere. You got to be extremely careful. That will take the front bumper straight off of this car. But this car, when you punch it, I mean, the 345s on the rear, they just hook and go. You may get a chirp if you're in a lower gear at a lower speed. You may get a chirp, a little bit of wheel hop, but then it's just gonna grab and it's gonna go. Does it set you back in your seat? Yes, most definitely, but in a completely different way. This is like a slow, gradual set of just G-force just pulling you back. So I'm just gonna shut up for a little while right now, put it back in track mode, and let you guys just enjoy the sound of this flat plane. So, tour, street, track, here we go. It just kicks in and starts going crazy right away. So we do got a couple curves up here. Do what we do. Wow. Oh man. It's not sketchy at all. I mean, there's no fear. You just feel so planted to the ground going around those curves like that. Let's listen to the car downshift on its own. If you're considering getting one of these cars, the base price that you're gonna get, and I'm talking not spec'd out with any of this carbon fiber, anything flashy, any seat belts that are matching your interior, none of that. You're gonna be looking to pay around $110,000 MSRP. And you're not going to get it at that. I'm going to tell you right now, there's going to be crazy markups no matter where you go. Unless you got some kind of connection or a buddy system, it's going to be markups. For you guys that have been following my channel for a while, y'all know I've been on a waiting list for a while trying to get an allocation for me to be able to build one of these cars. My only concern is, and this is not just with the new C8, but basically any vehicle that is brand new and they completely do a 180 like they did with this car and just do an all new body, all new motor, all new transmission, everything's brand new. A lot of times there's recalls and there's issues down the road that they don't know about initially. So what is the longevity of this car looking like? How reliable will it be at 100,000 miles or at 80,000 miles, especially if you're beating on it? If you know anything about motors, then you know that the flat plane crank engines, these things vibrate like crazy. So at 100,000 miles, will it shake things apart? Will the car start to fall apart? Will they have all types of recalls to where they got to repair things? I mean, only time will tell. But in the meantime, I mean, if you got one of these cars, just enjoy it. Take it out, beat the shit out of it every single weekend because the car can handle it. I haven't seen any major recalls yet. These cars have been out for over a year now, so they seem to be pretty reliable. And if you guys notice, I have not floored the car not one time. We haven't reached the 86 RPMs, the red line yet. I'm not going to because it's not my car, so I'm not going to beat on it like that. I'm giving this thing about 60-70% throttle, and it is just eating it up. I actually feel like when I'm driving this thing and it's going through the gears are spaced out so long compared to my Hellcat that I actually feel like I'm doing something wrong. I feel like as if I'm supposed to be shifting, like it's taking too long to shift. But I mean, it's just the 8,600 RPM. It's just insane. Even if you want this car to spin out, if you want to create smoke clouds, it's just not happening. This car is hooking and going. We're gonna go down to about, I don't know, maybe 20 miles per hour, and just, we're gonna punch it and see. And once again, it just dead hooks. You punch a Hellcat on street tires at 20 miles an hour, you're gonna wrap around one of these poles. Here we go. Oh man, couple downshifts, couple downshifts. Oh man, Chevy, I gotta get one of these. I gotta get myself in one of these. All right, real quick before we wrap it up, we gotta let the top down. We have to see what it's like, what that exhaust sound is like with the top down. I'm loving this little mirror right here. All right, so top's going down. All right, we have the green light, top is down. Hopefully it won't get too windy. Will that ever get old? Will that ever get old? All right, let me pull on over here. All right, guys, and I think that's gonna wrap it up for today's video. And just like I brought you guys this video, if there's anything that you want to see on my channel, make sure that you leave it down in the comment section. I'll do my best to get that video to you. But thank you guys for sticking around for this long. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.